You know, in a city like Delhi, some neighborhoods just feel safe, secure. But what happens when a brutal crime shatters that illusion? This is the story of a tragic murder in one of those very neighborhoods, a story that uncovers a deep vulnerability in our modern urban lives. We'll look at the crime, the investigation, and the really tough questions it raises about who we trust.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the crime itself, then the incredibly fast police manhunt that followed. After that, we'll dig into the disturbing profile of the accused. And finally, we'll tackle that huge question of trust and how something like this could have been prevented.
So, our story starts on a Wednesday morning in Kailash Hills. It's a quiet, pretty affluent part of South Delhi. Just a normal day. But that normalcy was about to be completely destroyed, and a life full of promise was about to be cut short.
To really understand the impact here, you have to understand who was lost. The local MLA who knew her put it perfectly. She called her a bright and exceptionally talented young woman. This wasn't just another crime statistic. This was a person, and her loss was felt deeply by the community.
I mean, just look at her profile. She was only 22 years old. She'd graduated from IIT and was studying for the Civil Services exam, one of the toughest in the country. Her father is a senior IRS officer. She was on a path to do incredible things. A future? Just gone.
What's so shocking is how quickly this all happened. The timeline is incredibly tight. Her parents leave for the gym just like they do every day. Now the CCTV footage, which turned out to be absolutely crucial, catches the suspect walking into the complex at 6:30 a.m. He leaves less than an hour later. By 8 a.m., her parents are back home, and they walk into an absolute nightmare.
The scene they found was just horrific. According to what the police have said, she was strangled with a mobile phone charging cable. And the presence of blunt force injuries? Well, it tells you she fought back. She fought for her life.
Okay, so with a crime this brutal, the clock is ticking. The pressure on the police was immense. And you know what? They acted fast. The response was immediate, it was focused, and a massive manhunt for the killer was launched.
And here's the thing. Suspicion didn't fall on some random stranger. It immediately centered on someone the family knew, someone they had trusted, a 19-year-old former domestic worker named Rahul Meena. He'd been fired just a month and a half before this happened.
The police work here was just textbook. First, they went straight to the CCTV footage, which confirmed Meena was there. From that point on, they unleashed this huge operation that eventually led them right to a hotel in Dwarka where he was hiding. He was arrested, just like that.
And when I say a huge operation, I mean it. To give you a sense of the scale, look at this number. 15. More than 15 separate police teams were put on this case. And they weren't just searching in Delhi. They sent teams to Rajasthan too, casting this really wide net to make sure he had nowhere to run.
So, with Meena in custody, the focus totally shifts. Now it's about figuring out who this person is, what could possibly motivate someone to commit such a horrible crime, and the details that started coming out, well, they paint a really disturbing picture. So here's what the investigation dug up. He's only 19 years old. He'd worked for this family for around 8 months before they had to let him go. And why was he fired? Apparently, he was always borrowing money from the other staff, a habit that was reportedly being fueled by an addiction to online gaming.
And this is where the idea of a breach of trust becomes just chilling. On one hand, you have the trust a family places in an employee. He knew their routine, he knew the layout of their house, and critically, he knew where they hid a spare key. On the other hand, you have how he allegedly twisted all of that knowledge, turning that intimacy into a weapon.
Robbery was also clearly a motive here. According to the family's complaint, about 2.5 lakh rupees in cash were stolen from the home.
But this is where the story takes an even darker, more twisted turn. The police in Rajasthan confirmed that a rape case had been filed against Meena in Alwar just the day before the murder. He fled that state and came straight to Delhi. This suggests this wasn't just some one-off act. It points to a potential pattern of escalating violence.
So a tragedy like this, it forces you to step back and ask some really hard questions. Questions about the systems we think are keeping us safe, especially when we invite people into our homes, the most private of spaces.
And this is the question that just hangs over this entire case, right? Beyond the specifics of the crime, we have to ask, were there systemic failures that allowed this to happen in the first place?
And here it is, a critical gap. According to police sources, there was no record of any official police verification being done for Rahul Meena when he was hired. A formal background check, I mean, who knows what red flags that might have raised, especially with his recent activities.
And the most frustrating part? A system for this kind of check already exists. This right here, this is the official verification form provided by the Delhi police. It's a tool made specifically to try and prevent these exact kinds of situations.
And this isn't just some simple form, it's detailed. It doesn't just ask for a name and a phone number. It wants a permanent address, ID proof, details of previous employers, any relatives or friends in the city, and even physical identification marks. All of this is stuff the police can cross-reference and verify.
In fact, it's incredibly thorough. The form even has a whole section just for taking fingerprints. This isn't just a piece of paper. It's a serious security check designed to create a formal record and, hopefully, deter anyone with a criminal past.
So, this horrible tragedy leaves us all with a really challenging question. It's a brutal reminder of that delicate balance between trusting people and verifying who they are. In a huge city, where we rely on strangers to help us in our own homes, how do we keep ourselves safe? Maybe the answer is using the systems that are already in place before another life is lost.